Welcome everybody to Pop Culture. I am Scott.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Monica.
And this episode we are talking about Marvel's latest offering into the MCU, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and how we're still trying to apologize for Iron Man 3. Please don't hate us anymore. But this one,
no,
the longest time. Wow.
Shortest review ever. No,
I really like Iron Man 3, and I really like what they did with the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. And I can't help but feel like a lot of this movie is, Marvel playing like, come on, fans. See, we were just kidding. We still love you.
Yeah, I have nothing to say to that.
I think, like, well,
I don't know what you mean.
I don't know what you're talking about. The Mandarin is this great Marvel villain who originally was basically just like a really bad racist depiction of a Chinese character, and he was Iron Man's arch nemesis.
Right.
So they introduced the Mandarin into Iron Man 3 and all the marketing and stuff. It was Ben Kingsley, and everyone was like, oh, this is going to be so good and so cool. Yeah. He's got the 10 rings. It's going to be fantastic. They're rings on his fingers. No. Anyway. And then there was like the twist where it was like he was an actor and it was all fake because Shane Black was like, the villain's not that interesting. I might just spice it up and throw a bit of a twist in, which I was okay with because I never found the Mandarin interesting. He's just
it's pretty bad hoodoo, if it's a boring villain.
He's a hoodoo voodoo, like, really bad racist depiction of a Chinese character with his Fu Manchu mustache and stuff. He shoots like lightning out of his rings and he fights Iron Man. It's just, I don't know. In this day and age, I think we've been past it. Like when Iron Man was fresh out of the Vietnam War and people weren't sensitive to the issues of race at all, it seemed to fly okay. Now it's like, that's why I like they turned it on its head. And a lot of this, I think, was, as much as this is a Shang-Chi film, I feel like it's an attempt to really distance themselves from that because people were so upset by it.
Oh, that's that. I don't even remember Iron Man 3. I've seen it, but it just doesn't stick in my memory, that film. I have to say.
It's really good. It's really good. It's in my top 5. Sure.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, all right.
Of the Marvel movies. It's Shane Black. You don't have to do much to impress me.
Okay. All right.
A couple of like superb one-liners and I'm on board.
Yeah. I'll have to rewatch it now that you've sort of mentioned that link there because
and then obviously
the Ben Kingsley character in it just seemed so weirdly placed, I have to say. It was I don't know why it was there really, other than what you're saying probably.
Yeah. They produced a short film called Hail to the King, where Trevor Slattery, the British actor, is in prison, and the real Mandarin broke him out, like kidnapped him from prison to be like, you took his name in vain. And I thought that was going to be their nice way of being like, cool, there you go, everybody. He's not the real Mandarin. The real Mandarin's still out there. Don't sweat it. And then they just went and made this movie. Like, so much so that it's in the title of the film, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, because it's all about the 10 rings, these alien artifacts that the Mandarin uses as his weapons. So they're obviously leaning on it pretty heavily.
To me, we've got our new Infinity Stones.
Oh, no, they're not that important.
No, well, they're suggesting there's something. They're suggesting something at the end of it. I just, they always want this sort of, I guess, point to center everything around, and there was a suggestion at the end of the film that something's coming for them.
We don't know what they are.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So I just get the feeling that we're going to get a bit of a rehash of that MacGuffin of Infinity Stones or power artifacts.
The power thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that despite the fact that The Legend of the Ten Rings was in the title of the film, I didn't feel that it was about them at all. You don't see them much in the movie. They're sparingly used. I just thought it was about this guy who was running away from his abusive family. So that's what it was to me.
Really, really shit family.
Yeah.
With your warlord dad and dead mum.
Yeah. You always got to have a dead parent figure. I mean, poor Shang, he's a lot like Peter Parker. The mum has already been Uncle Ben and, taught him about the power of responsibility, and is also a somewhat reluctant hero.
Yeah. I found I mean, yes, it's a family drama ultimately. If you're going to talk about it as a film in its core, it's that family drama and reconciling with, your parents or however you're going to be considering them. But it was just so labored. Like so many, how would you call it? Memory shots, going back again in these supposedly poignant moments emotionally for the characters, and I felt so forced. I just didn't believe it whatsoever.
It's like the Marvel origin story syndrome that we have to deal with every time.
Yeah, except this one ripped every single trope from before.
It
just makes
it has to do
so
them
long.
in these horrible flashbacks.
But some of them were exactly the same and constantly. So just getting overwhelmed with it, I lost interest in it entirely, and I just sort of went, I don't care about this bit. And then I went, oh, that's a cool looking monster. And sort of suddenly I'm trying to get something else out of the film because that was not carrying it for me.
I found I was really enjoying it up until they got captured. So there's a point in the film where they're kind of like going on their adventure, and he's like, yes, I'm actually the super martial arts guy. And then they get captured and by, his dad. And then the movie sort of shifts gears and changes from being this like pretty cool martial arts movie. Like there's a fight on a bus that I was like, I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
I'm really okay with this.
What a good scene. Yeah.
Yeah. But then it turns into like Black Panther. We go to the Asian super city that's hidden away from sight, where we're going to see lots of CGI monsters fight each other. And like, that's all I could think of. I'm like, I've seen this before and I'm not interested. I was really digging the cool martial arts movie, and then it just turned into a CGI shit flying everywhere movie where it just becomes another superhero movie.
Soul sucking in so many ways, huh?
Oh, yeah. So many ways. Many ways.
Yeah, I would have loved it to have just been, a martial arts movie and just focus on the friendship between Shang and Katie, who's played really well by Awkwafina.
She's fantastic.
I really buy their friendship and their almost lackadaisical approach to life. I mean, they're valet drivers at a hotel. It captures that late 20s, early 30-somethings that make feel a little bit directionless. And that would have been a very interesting exploration into that kind of attitude turning into heroism, but it doesn't come full circle.
It does, but in a really sloppy way, like bad training montage, sloppy.
Yeah, I didn't even feel that was sort of, in a way, completing that loop for me personally. It was just sort of a circumstance, what we have to have the female character do something. Oh, let's make her an archer for a day.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because I thought she was a really.
Well, they set her up as this kind of cool driver, like.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the medieval Chinese village, you don't have.
Yeah, and if you wanted to focus on, I guess, the prowess or the skill of another female character, they should have focused way more on the sister, who I thought was really underutilized. She was great.
She was great, but like she kind of got nothing except for this like moment of like, oh, she betrayed them. Oh no, she didn't. It's like,
yeah, exactly. I would have loved to have seen more of her relationship with her brother. They've been estranged for many, many years. I just feel this movie had so many opportunities and it didn't stick the landing with them.
Yeah,
that's my biggest issue with it.
I've got lots of issues, but the villain swap stuff. All right, I can pick the whole plot apart, but I don't want to do that because it's too easy. Cast is all really good. Like
Mm,
Tony Leung is one of the I think greatest actors on the planet.
yeah.
Who like his work in Chinese films is unbelievable. Like from Infernal Affairs to Red Cliff and stuff like that. Like he's really an amazingly talented guy, and he does a pretty okay job as the villain.
Mm.
He seems more interesting than everyone else in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, he seems more convincing. Like he's,
Yeah.
I guess his motivation behind all of his actions is convincing. But again, I think it still gets lost to that labored
It falls sloppy near the
reflections that
end.
we see. Yeah, and it's too much.
Yeah.
But once again, I've
you
seen
got the
that done
idea
before
early.
too.
Yeah. I really did enjoy the action sequences with the, I guess martial arts cross something more. It's
Wire fighting and
yeah.
The choreography is really beautiful.
Yeah, it was. I really, really enjoyed it, like much more than say Mortal Kombat and things like that, because it just seemed to have a nice flow to it, and you were able to follow what was going on. So that was really good. I like the production design of the dragons and monsters, but just it doesn't all glue together that well. Unfortunately, the acting was really solid. Yeah, absolutely solid. There was no problem there. And I think it's coming down to the script just probably trying to pack in too much to little effect. It's sort of like diluting things by putting too many things in.
I think it's an origin movie, and it's also trying to establish this new phase in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is why you have the inclusion of the character of Wong. I'm happy to see Wong anytime. Like, he's a fabulous character, but I think because the film is trying to do too many things, you just tend to lose focus, and you need to just stick with the one. And I think had they just done the origin story of Shang-Chi, they could have cut out a lot of the fat.
And I really didn't like the shifting from focusing on Wenwu as kind of the antagonist to then introducing, like another giant end of the world monster threat thing. I'm fine with low stakes. I really am. Totally okay with low stakes. You don't need it every time. We just had Thanos. We don't need it every time.
Yeah, and I guess if it's more low stakes as well, it says more to the personal journey of the hero rather than having to save the day and get the girl and all that kind of stuff. Whereas it's this tiny little village that just needs to be saved. That would have been a really good way to deal with, I guess, the antagonist.
Yeah, just made it more a personal conflict.
Yeah, exactly. Which it was leading that way, and then it just abruptly stops. Like, oh no, we've got this giant monster behind this dragon.
Yeah, we had to
scale cave thing.
We had to rip out Marvel's Cthulhu and go from there. Yeah. That the last half of the movie, I felt so detached.
Yeah, I like you said earlier, I really started losing interest once they got captured after the Macau scene in the skyscraper fight. I was just like, oh, it's time to tap out.
Yep, I left my body.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, here we go. Ben Kingsley's in this movie too. Oh, that's nice. Oh, he's got a headless wombat thing. Okay, cool. Whatever.
Yeah, I have to say my son found that headless thing hilarious. So maybe the 9-year-old boys. he was almost falling off the couch when he saw that. Off the chair, I should say, in the cinema. Yeah.
Oh, look, it does its job. It's sort of like the cute little thing. Like R2-D2 is the cute little thing in the Star Wars universe, as well as BB-8. So it does serve a purpose, and I'm sure the plush toy will be very, very cute when it comes out.
Yuck.
I still don't quite I know you've explained why Ben Kingsley's in it as an apology almost, but
I still don't understand
why in this film and now it just sort of added this whole other thing which again diluted it.
It's all about the idea of the Mandarin,
right?
Which is interesting
because not clear whatsoever to someone who's watching
if you
without that.
Yeah, but they're not making this for you. They're making it for the people who've seen each movie 40 times.
It's all about
no. I'm not being and you're absolutely right. That is a criticism that can be made, and it makes it not good when you have to be like, what? You shouldn't have to go and Wikipedia everything just to figure out why something's in a movie.
Yeah.
I feel it's another way to tie this phase back to the previous phase as well with the Mandarin. Everyone's just like, hey, everybody, remember how good the Iron Man movies was? Here's the Mandarin. Here you go. Enjoy.
And maybe that's why I really liked the Iron Man movies, is that, like, back to the question of stakes, they were never particularly high. It was like, I'm going to kill you and take over the family business, or like, I'm just going to murder the president. Like,
yeah.
they were never end of the worldy type stuff.
There were problems that Tony Stark had either created or needed to solve. And that's actually a perfectly reasonable way to tell your story. There's no high stakes. It's just completely involved with the character.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know, I liked Shang-Chi, but the guy, the character, not the movie.
Yeah,
but
I think the character.
Yeah, it's fine. I still felt like, okay, it's just another guy for the roster.
Yeah, I liked the character and I liked all the acting. I just feel that the movie did a disservice to everyone in it. Like, it could have been something that was really interesting, but unfortunately, it just didn't meet the measure.
You don't misuse Michelle Yeoh and get away with it, as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Well, you know what? The Mummy and the Tomb of the Drunken Emperor did, and that's what you get.
Failure.
Remember that movie?
Yeah, it had Yetis in it. That's cool.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was pretty crap.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know if we're, I mean, this movie's like really well reviewed, by the way. This is like rocking. What have we got on Rotten Tomatoes at the moment? 92% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I think that might be a little bit to do with that we haven't seen a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie in the cinema in a while. That might be part of the reason.
Oh, you think people are like overreacting because they just missed it?
Yeah, perhaps. Whereas, you know, I'm starting to feel a lot of, I guess, Marvel superhero movie fatigue. It just doesn't really excite me in the same way that it used to anymore, unfortunately, because it's just telling the same stories over and over again, and they're not learning their lessons from the previous iterations. Like, they keep repeating the same things, which people have problems with.
Yeah, well, I'm reading a little review now for like the one negative review, and this guy's getting like slammed for voicing his opinion because that's the world we live in now. It's a movie about the same gifted kid imposter syndrome as every other self-doubting hero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty accurate summation.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know if I'm like expecting too much of them, because some of them have been very good. But I feel like every single one of these origin stories has just been really mediocre.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's a way to sort of, I guess, generate some interest in the character, and maybe the sequel will be really good. Because we are going to get one.
Shang-Chi and where he...
Shang-Chi, hey, guess what? It's actually 20 rings.
Spoilers. I think I on the issue of representation, I think that's the amazing part of it.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. It's a great
that's
thing.
Really
to do.
Good.
Yeah, I just wish it was a better movie to, I guess, fully represent the greatness of this community. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like, but I think it's cool that, like, a young Asian kid will be able to go to the cinema and see a superhero that is them. I had the nerd. I had Peter Parker growing up. I got Spider-Man like 14 times already. So maybe it is maybe it is a really good thing that someone else gets that moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, they had to do a lot of work too. I was reading, I had to do a lot of work to really change the character to make it kind of palatable as well. Like the character of Shang-Chi, who was like the son of Fu Manchu, the really horrifically racist Chinese dragon in Marvel Comics.
Oh, okay.
So they really had to work hard to to make the character fit into today's sort of expectations of it.
Yeah, I already got a bit of fatigue over superhero films, and this just adds to it. Ultimately, that's my my take on it.
Well, yeah, there's just so many, and they're not stopping. We've already got Eternals by the end of the year too. We've got another Marvel movie and Spider-Man by the end of the year as well.
Yeah, just keep coming back.
Trailer for Batman dropped this morning.
Right.
So they're not going anywhere.
No.
And we will be here, dear listener, to
Reviewing
tear them
them
apart for you.
Oh, there might be a good one amongst them. You never know.
Batman?
Yeah, I'm low-key
I don't know.
excited for that one.
I'm really excited for Batman.
Yeah, I am too.
What makes you excited for Batman, though? What makes this different to any other Batman?
I'm always excited for Batman.
Oh, okay.
Don't talk like this. Look, I'm excited to see a scary version of the Riddler. I'm really excited to see Colin Farrell play the Penguin. I'm excited to see kind of I actually think Robert Pattinson's a really good actor, so I'm actually really excited to see him play Bruce Wayne. Andy Serkis's Alfred. Like, it's ticking a lot of boxes for me, and I think Matt Reeves is a really good director. So
yeah, I think on paper it all sounds really, really good. I also think R. Patz is a really good actor. He gets a lot of flack for the Twilight movies, but nobody hates them as much as he does. So I have a lot of respect for him.
And openly is like, look, I have bills to pay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Shang-Chi. Enough about Batman. That's how you go. How interesting Shang-Chi is. We're talking about Batman.
Oh no, I asked the question, but yeah. It is about Shang-Chi, so
yes. Yeah, like the first half of the movie I found really fun. It's got some really nice visuals. The fight choreography is excellent until it turns into like shooting laser beams. But yeah, I've seen better in the MCU. And
yep, I think you summed it up really well. It's another MCU movie. Unfortunately, I've just seen better ones.
Yeah, I think most people who, if you enjoy spectacles, which this is definitely a spectacle, you'll enjoy this. Just it won't be something that is as memorable as some of the better ones that have come along.
Thank you all for listening to this episode of Pop Culture. I've been Scott.
I'm still Jason.
And I'm still Monica.